Hey, everybody, it's Angelo Caruso. I am Public Image Coordinator this year, 2021-22 for Zone 28 in the Rotary world. And I'm on with Ken Robertson. He's a sitting governor in a completely different part of the world in Scotland, yes?
Southern Scotland, District 1020.
1020, thank you. How do you feel, Mr. Governor?
It's a big challenge. There are a lot of things to do, a lot of work. President Shaker gave us a lot of messages to convey to clubs, all of them worthwhile. But coming out of the COVID, as I've said, is a challenge to get clubs back into doing the things that Rotarians really do so well.
Yeah, you bet. What are you working or are you retired, Ken?
I just stopped working to start being district governor.
Okay, and what did you retire from, sir?
My main career was on banking and finance. I did well over 30 years in that and stopped working. And after that, I got a bit bored and I went back into the civil service to do employment law. And I did that for 2 years, which turned into 12 years. So
well, lovely.
I reckon it was time to stop and to focus.
I'm sure you were a great asset to those organizations. The reason I ask is because all governors bring what I call a forehand and a backhand to the position. The forehand is what you're really good at, which is apparently numbers. And surprisingly, a lot of governors get through the whole year and nobody really knows what they did for a living or what that forehand is. So I always remind everybody, you shouldn't be shy about that. If you're a numbers person, you should get that on the table right away because you're a resource for them in that area, right? Don't let that be invisible to the people that you're leading. And of course, the backhand might be what you're weak at. If you're not a particularly good speaker, I don't think this is your problem, sir, but if you're not a particularly good speaker, that's a backhand. If you're not particularly good at networking, backhand. And so you're probably not going to be able to repair that backhand in time to positively impact your governorship. But the good news is you've already got the position. You can deputize people who really are good at networking to do the job for you. Of course, that's going to mean identifying talent within the district and then deputizing them to some sort of position of authority within the district so that they can do the right thing for you. So forehand and backhand is really important. By now, of course, you've probably identified talent within the district. That's a huge issue. Maybe you couldn't get that done as well as you would have liked because of the pandemic. Most DGNs or district governor elects are out in the field, meeting people at conferences. I always say there's two types of volunteers when you get to be governor. The people who always volunteer, they like power, they're good at it. They're the ones who managed your district conference the last 2 years, and they're always the first ones to volunteer to help you this year. That's a gift. It can also be a curse because if you have the same person do the same job that's been doing it, you're going to get the same event that you got the last 3 years in a row. And if that didn't break an attendance record each succeeding year, you're not getting quite the gift that you thought you were getting when that person just knocked on your door and volunteered to be conference chair. So 2 years out, we ask, I think it's a good idea for district governor nominees to ask about developing talent, people in the Rotary world who are upwardly mobile. They're still out there, by the way, but you have to find them online right now.
Yeah.
I used to be in the music business, Ken. I don't know if you remember that, but in our part of the world, there was a magazine that was the gospel of the industry. It was called Billboard magazine. And they always rank you know of it, okay. They always rank the top 100 hits.
Yes.
Well, before you could get a hit on the top 100, you had to bubble under, it was called. So you would be number 105 or 110. And that's who you need to identify in your district. Who are the Rotary leaders that are bubbling under? Because they're ambitious. They're young and tech savvy. They are upwardly mobile. And perhaps best of all, they haven't been brainwashed yet. They don't know the old guard. They don't know the old tradition because it hasn't been quite ingrained in them. They could be fond of those old traditions, but they're not married to them. You see how that kind of person could be valuable on your team?
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not suggesting you get all new people, because that will cause a conversation. But a
Yeah.
nice mix of people, right? I remember when I was governor in 16, 17, I said, I want some people under 40 involved with this leadership team. Let's go get them. I know they're out there.
Hmm.
And it's interesting, I made a plea to my district on Facebook as I was ramping up to be governor. And I said, it would be really great if y'all could put your date of birth, your year of birth in Club Runner, our database, so that we could run a filter and instantly identify all the 30 somethings. Sounded like a good idea to me. I got amazing pushback on it. They didn't want to tell me the year they were born. I heard everything, Ken. I heard it's none of your business. I heard, why do you need to know how old we are? We want to be treated the same as everyone else. I mean, I heard it all. I heard it was a security issue to have my year of birth in Club Runner. Are you kidding me? And all I wanted
I've heard
to
that
know was,
argument.
yeah, maybe. But all I wanted to know was who are the young people, and how can we provide special programming for them? How can we develop dialogue with them and curate the relationship so that we can move those highly ambitious people into president roles for the clubs, and then later into AG roles, and then after that into the governorship. To this day, we don't have that information available to us. So I like getting that kind of information, but it's not always available. You had mentioned one of the things that is a particular struggle for all governors this year is that we're in this gray area of we're kind of in a pandemic and we're kind of not. I say that because, and I know that this is true for the entire United Kingdom, but I know that in some part of the United Kingdom, was it Prime Minister Boris Johnson said, Freedom Day, everybody go out and unmask and let's move this, move society forward. Did that happen in Scotland?
And not quite. We did it about 2-3 weeks later, and we are still expected to wear masks inside. If you go into shops or offices, we are still expected to wear masks. So we're a little bit more cautious. However, our figures at the moment are very high. Yes. And I think that's going to make people more apprehensive about going back into regular meetings face to face.
Yes, which is a challenge for not only club presidents, but governors, who one of the first things you're supposed to do during your year is go do a bunch of club visits.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about have you done some physical visits already, you said?
No, I've not. I've done visits, but they've all been on Zoom. They're about to start physical, and that will be the first sort of visits for 18 months or more. So that's where I think it will be a change, and we'll all be a little bit unsure and uncertain about that.
Yeah, I mean, what are the ramifications? I mean, just think about this: an aging organization that's inviting the most susceptible among the population to risk their health, masked or not, because if you're going to have a meal, you're going to have to unmask.
Yes. Yeah.
So at some peril to come to a live event to pay homage to the sitting governor. And what if none of that was an issue? Everyone's still wearing masks. You might have to wear a mask when you speak. I've done it. It's no fun. It completely mutes, the program. Hopefully what they'll be able to set up for you is a little bubble in the front of the room where you can get up there in a distance of 10 feet from everybody and take off your mask so that you can communicate your great message to them. But these are challenges that will be heady waters. One way around it, by the way, is to use technology, which Rotary has been very adaptable at. For example, you can record a 20-minute governor message. You could take the lead of President Shekar, President-elect Jennifer Jones, all of whom have pre-recorded messages for Rotaract, Interact, club presidents, pets. I mean, they probably do one for everybody now because they can do it once and then ship it off. And you could do the same thing.
Sure. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, that governor message of yours, it doesn't have to be 20 minutes, it could be 10. Can be recirculated on the district Facebook page quarterly, right? Why not? If you're going to stay on message, which is a good idea in politics, you're going to stay on message, and you're going to be governor for the whole year. Why not post it 4 times to the district Facebook page and keep it on the district website for a good period of time? Maybe take it down after 3 months, first 3 months of the year, and then put it up again in the second, the first half of the year.
Yeah.
So that they can get rejuvenated or revaccinated, if you will. No one's going to memorize your message, but hearing it again a second time is like re-upping them in some way, right?
Good idea. Thank you.
Let's talk about that. And I appreciate you being so open to these suggestions. Please stop at any time, ask questions, contribute your own ideas. If you are deciding to do a video like this, I'm going to offer a couple of suggestions to you that would give you some superpowers. So the first one is the secret to connectivity on Zoom and in video calls is to establish eye contact with your viewers. And this is a lot more challenging than most people think. It's completely counterintuitive. So I'm going to show you the secret trick, okay? There are on most screens, just like yours right now, 3 places that you might likely be looking as you watch and talk to me. The first place that you might look is your own image. A lot of people are enchanted with their own image, and they don't look at the speaker at all. They're just looking at themselves and having a good hair day. Oh, my shirt looks great on screen. The second place that you can look, I think, is the place that you're looking right now, which is my image, correct?
Yes.
And that's fantastic. I can tell that I have your attention and that you're looking at me and you're paying attention, and that's great. But you, sir, are not looking at me in the eye.
Right.
Where would you look if you wanted to look at me in the eye? Where would you look on the screen?
Sort of towards the top.
Well, not only towards the top, but specifically you would look right into the lens of your camera. And that's going to be somewhere up here on my screen. You see? So let me demonstrate this, and then we'll have you do it in real time. And I promise you it's going to be a hard habit to break. I'm going to show you 2 things. Well, I'm going to show you a demo of how eye contact works. I'm going to begin by looking at myself on screen. So now I'm looking at myself. And now I'm going to shift my eyes to you on the screen. Watch. You see what I just did? Do you feel like I'm connected to you yet?
You say, but you see, you almost look like you're looking down a little bit.
Right. Now I'm going to look into the lens of the camera and establish eye-to-eye contact with you, even though I'm not looking at you anymore. Watch how I connect with you. Watch my eyes. Now, what do you think?
Yes, you are.
I'm looking right through you right now, aren't I?
You are.
And that's that green light on the top of my screen that I look at 4 hours a day now, because I know as a coach, because I teach an online program called Present Like a Pro, and I teach sales training online. I'm teaching salespeople how to better connect with their prospects and customers. That if I'm going to walk the walk, I have to look into that green light all the time. And I think of this like driving, Ken. So when you're driving an automobile or a vehicle, you're 90% in the windshield and 10% in the mirrors, side view and rear view, right?
Yes.
And Zoom is the same thing. I'm going to be 90% in that green light. And occasionally I'm going to look down into my side view and rear view mirror for reference only. And then I'm right back to the top again.
Yes, it does feel like I'm not looking at you, but I'm looking at it.
But I can tell, that I've got you now, that you're with me.
Yes.
And this, of course, is all relative to where you have your camera set up and where your how big your screen is. I have a pretty large flat screen, so I can really spread out the images. So the second nuanced part of this trick is I can move both of the reference images. If you grip the top of your Zoom interface on your camera with your mouse, you'll find that you can move it around. Do you notice that? Did you know that before?
No, didn't.
Are you doing it now?
So can you just explain that again?
Sure. Up at the top of your Zoom interface where it says Zoom meeting,
Yes.
if you left click on your mouse and then slide it, you can move it around.
Yeah.
So you want to move your images really close to the lens of the camera. It looks like your webcam might be off to the side of your screen a little bit. So watch my eyes. I'll give you another demo so you can understand this better. When I have our images way off away from the lens of the camera, I have to look away that much further to reference. Watch. I'm in your eyes right now.
Yes.
And now I'm going to check your expression. And I have to go way down here because that's where the image is right now. It almost looks like I'm ignoring you. But watch what happens as I move your image. I'm going to left click the Zoom interface and drag it closer to the lens. And now I'm looking, look how the subtle shift I have to do to check my rearview mirror. I don't even have to move my head. That, my friend, is a £1 million tip for you. Pretty good, huh?
It is.
So it's something that you can do. These are called video hygiene tricks that you
I've made a
can
note of
use.
that.
Yeah. It includes things like your virtual background or your real background or your Rotary apparel. I like your Rotary t-shirt. And another trick for video hygiene is that, symmetry is boring. So I always set myself up a little left or a little right of center. Now I'm using the fireworks display on this side of my screen. So essentially this half of my screen is more animated than the other half. In fact, the other half with that knight in shining armor is completely unanimated. That guy hasn't moved in 20 years. He's been the best roommate ever. He never says anything. So in your screen right now, and I can't really tell, is that a Rotary thing happening behind you?
Yeah, it's a symbol again.
Okay, so it's a little bit too big. If I'm in Rotary, I can recognize it, but if I'm a member of the public, I might not be able to tell what it is, but that's okay.
No.
Now, if you shift your body a little bit left of center or a little bit right of center, right? Not too much, just a little bit. Then you become, and maybe that's even too much, but it becomes more visually appealing. Symmetry is boring. That's what you want to remember on Zoom. So one other technique, and this has nothing to do with video, it has to do with audio. Somebody told me one time, Ken, if you want to improve your video, improve your audio. And what that means is when you have good quality microphone or good quality presence, everything gets better. So you can improve your presence by, the easiest way to do it is by using what's called close mic technique, MIC, like microphone.
Yeah.
And you can do that by using, say, a headset. And you can even use Apple AirPods or I don't have mine with me right now, but the microphone's right here. It's hanging, but it's sloppy. It doesn't look good.
Yeah,
So
I did have that, but I changed it to, I got the laptop because I felt that looked terrible with the big headphones.
Yeah.
And the
so now you look better, but you sound worse, is my point.
Right.
And we want you to look good and sound good.
Yeah.
So I invested in one of these microphones. They're not that expensive. You can get them for under $100. This is called, oh, here's my headset. Here's what I wanted to show you. This, for those of you that are unaware of this, people don't think about this stuff. So the ear pods, of course, are up here, the microphone's right here. And so that's why it's called close mic technique. It's right there at my mouth. Whereas if I was using the computer microphone, it's almost 3 or 4 feet away from me.
Sure.
And by the way, no noise cancellation at all in most computer microphones, unless it's a newer model.
No.
So what I invested in is this Blue Yeti, it's called, YETI. It's less than $100 over here. You can probably get knockoffs that are even cheaper. And you can just hear, Ken, that the quality of this microphone just can't be beat. You can hear that. You can hear the difference, right? Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Now, I think this is too big and too bulky to have way up here for just our little chat. It doesn't feel intimate when this guy is in the frame. So what I do is keep it down here and I turn up what's called the gain, because it's a good microphone. It has a little volume knob on it. You have to experiment.
Yeah.
And now it's mostly out of sight. And I have that intimacy. I sound great and I look great. And I need those qualities if I'm going to be a great leader. A great leader looks great, sounds great, right? Feels great. Is this helpful to you?
Very helpful. Thank you.
So I teach presentation skills. So my forehand is helping governors and anybody really. Most of my work comes in the non-Rotary world, but I've been my pleasure to help a lot of Rotarians become better leaders. Some of them are working, they get a double dip, they get better at work and they get better on the Rotary job. Punching up, it's a Hollywood talk, punching up their speech. And I can help everyone. I can promise you, I can help anyone get their speech to be better. So sometimes what they'll do is they'll send me the written version of their speech, and then I do something called redlining. I take a red pen, just like it sounds, and I start writing suggestions in here for how their speech could be better. And I also listen to how they deliver and watch their delivery and coach them on this. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips to punch up what you've probably already developed as your governor speech, yes?
Yes, yes, I do.
So do you have 3 talking points that you want them to remember and act on?
Well, because Shaker had so many points that you want to do, Rotary Days of Service, empowering girls, each one bring one, etc. What I have come up with is what I call the Rotary Smile. And that breaks down into 5 sectors: service, members, inclusion, leadership, and enjoyment. And I try and fit everything that he talks into these 5 sectors.
I'm sorry, what was L?
Leadership.
Leadership, thank you. So it's an acronym: SMILE, service, membership, inclusion, which is one of it's DEI, diversity,
yes,
equity, and inclusion.
Yes,
one of Rotary's new initiatives. The 7th. It's actually an area of focus, correct?
Yes. Then leadership and enjoyment, because I think it is important that everybody enjoys being part of a Rotary, has the friendship and fellowship. And I touch on again about the face-to-face aspect, and we hopefully will get back into that.
Okay, so I didn't know we were going to talk about this, but I already have ideas on how you can punch up your script using your SMILE acronym. And the first tip, and you may already do this naturally, is that when you announce the initiative, which is SMILE, you, sir, are going to smile.
I try to, yes.
And I mean big, like you could really play it up. And so what I want you to do this year, fellow Rotarians, I want you to enact our new motto for this year, which is smile. And you go big smile like this. And if you're in a room of people, you're going to smile left, then you're going to smile right, and you smile center again. And the whole time you do it, they're going to be tittering and making noise, and then they'll be smiling. Mission accomplished. This is called, in the speaking business, it's called congruity. So you're going to do what you say and say what you do. So when you announce smile, that's exactly what you're going to do, smile.
Yeah.
And SMILE, ladies and gentlemen, is an acronym that has 5 pieces to it. And because you have 4 fingers and a thumb, you're going to hold up your hand like this every time you say 5 pieces, or however you describe it. And then you're going to use your hand as a prop. Number 1, watch me. Number 1. The first one is service. S is for service. Number 2, right? M is for membership. And you're going to work all the way down your hand. And you do it one at a time during the talk. And then what do you think you're going to do at the end of smile?
You go over the 5
That's
again.
exactly right.
I
So
do
when you're
that
in
in mind.
review or in summary, smile is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to smile again like this. And you're going to smile to the left again. And you're going to smile to the right again. And you're going to come back to center. You can even do it on your computer screen, I think. And that's called what the French call a motif or a pattern. Because you can, and good motifs happen in 3s. So you've done it twice now. And then at the end of your talk, after you do what's called, after you do all of the rest of your stuff, you're going to say, and remember, smile. And you're going to give them that big smile one more time. And you're going to get the biggest laugh at the last time you do it. And I just pulled that tip out of my back pocket, man. I didn't even know you were going to spring that one on me. Where are you looking, Ken?
That makes it more impactful, without a doubt.
Where are you looking right now?
Yeah.
I told you it was going to be a difficult habit to break.
Yeah.
Lens of the camera. Okay. I like that smile impacts membership for sure, because that's like that 3-legged stool that all governors are in one way or another obligated to address during their talk. Another leg of the stool that they need to address is foundation, giving. But I know you know that. And there's a lot of talk now about new clubs. I would say this to sitting governors or people that are getting ready to be governor, that I think we have enough data now to know. And by the way, I'm not speaking for Evanston or Rotary International. I'm just a past district governor who has traveled the world seen Rotary in many, many different environments. And I've come to the conclusion that it may be a lot easier to start a new club in a community than to reform or rejuvenate or resuscitate a club that's not doing well.
Yeah.
And I say that with all respect to clubs that are not doing well. They're called traditional clubs for a reason, Ken, as you know. If they embody traditions, it's not going to be easy for them to change.
No. And you're not going to get these younger members coming in, because they will feel just totally out of their comfort zones because of the people that are there. That's
right. They'll join and they'll never feel like they belong. Rotary will sound good on the way in as a premise, giving back and doing nice things for people we don't know and working with people that aren't like me. But after a few months in the club, the 30-something looks around and says, I'm the only one here that doesn't have blue hair. or even worse, I'm the only one here that has hair.
Yes.
And they want to be with people, people that are 30-something. So one great idea as you find these champions, these firebrands that want to be in Rotary, and you want to give them a chance, like a little seedling, you want to give them a chance to grow. Help them cluster together. And if you can cluster 20 of them, they become a satellite club under the umbrella of the traditional club. Yeah. Because they won't know how to start a club on their own. And it takes way too much energy, maybe. But if the satellite club, or if the traditional club agrees to shepherd them, then it's a win-win for everybody. They won't be sapping a bunch of resources from the traditional club, and the traditional club won't have to change their game much to kind of look over the satellite club. And then the satellite club can run their own game. They can have a young president. They can do projects that they want to do. And best of all, the two clubs can get together at important junctures during the year, like the district conference or joint celebrations, that type of thing.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know how much of this you're going to be able to do in your remaining months as governor, because the year is well underway, but these are great ideas for certainly for people in the DGN realm or the DGE realm.
I can share these ideas, but it's also going back to what we said at the start, clubs have almost been in a hibernation for a period. So it's about sowing these type of seeds during my year. They might not come to fruition, but I'm not bothered about that. If I've sown the seeds and they do start to grow over the next couple of years, then it's worthwhile.
I like it. And of course, for that to happen, you're going to have to get buy-in from your successor and the successor after that. Because another thing that we've learned is that the only thing that shifts a district's culture is to have more than one good governor in a row. I mean, if you do a kick-ass job this year and really impress people, giving goes up 20%, membership increases 5 or 10% in a pandemic year. I mean, people will be singing your praises forever. But if next year's governor doesn't have the bandwidth to carry on with those initiatives, it'll be one step forward and 2 steps back for District 1020.
That's where that's where the work is. But yeah, as I say, because of the way things have gone, I think it's going to take a little bit of time to get the wheels turning as they were before. But that's why I want to make the impact. That's why I want to get the messages across effectively.
Yeah. But thankfully, I mean, you've agreed to record this presentation, so we'll push the video out. You can share it with your successors, and because we're all in this together, we don't just need District 1020 to be successful this year. We need District 1020 and all of its neighbors. We desperately need North America to get its act together on membership. So a rising tide raises all boats, and we just want to do whatever we can to support all of the great leaders that are coming up, so that we can celebrate Rotary for another 100 years.
Totally agree with that, Michael. Yeah.
What else can I help you with today, sir?
You talked there about the in fact you touched on networking. Is there any particular approach you took when you were going to visit clubs? You know, there's a one set when you're doing it online, but as I said, clubs are starting to invite me face to face, and I haven't done that for about 18 months, so I'm out of practice myself. I'm just wondering if there's any approaches you took when you were going to visit clubs, just to make your visit something they would remember.
Yes, it's a great question. I think that probably what I did is it's a little bit late for you to tackle, because I worked on this 2 years in advance of becoming governor. I developed a theme within the district itself. And the problem with people that develop themes is a lot of times the theme is vacuous, it's shallow, or they're not capable of actively promoting the theme and pushing it, to its destination. So if you can't do that, I don't recommend enacting a theme. But I did a theme called Go Public with Rotary. And the reason I did that was because as a public speaker, I knew I had content that I could deliver during the governor visits that would not only entertain and educate Rotarians, but also members of the public. So I told club presidents that I wanted to help them double their membership during the governor visit. And boy, the tops of their heads popped off when I suggested that, because a lot of governor visits are snoozers. A lot of governors are not professional speakers. A lot of them don't work very hard on their speech. Many of them do. But when they get there, the clubs have heard how many governors in a row now give their talks. It's a yawn after a while, unfortunately, just because it's routine. And I wanted to break that routine. I wanted to break that routine. So I gave a talk that was that everyone could enjoy. And I got the Rotary business done during the talk. I carried the president's message. I hammered the membership nail. I hammered the foundation nail because I could. as a professional speaker, you can imagine I can juggle 16 things where the average presenter maybe can only keep 2 balls in the air.
Mm.
So we invited the public, and for a lot of these clubs, we said, we want you to have 100 people there. Well, if 100 people show up in most small towns, the media is going to be there too, because it's the biggest thing happening in town that day. We got more media coverage for the governor's visit to a private club, what's normally a private club celebration, than ever before.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I was very proud of that. And of course, we recorded some of those meetings, and those recordings started to show up. And so when I do this, and I think when you do it too, you want 2 things to happen as a result of your president of your district governorship, is M&Ms, members and money. If you can make those 2 things happen in any way during your year, it'll be a success.
Yeah.
So if you can inspire visitors to the club, for example, because by default, you'll have visitors at the governor visit. You know how that works. People that don't belong to Rotary, they're just guests. And I always asked, how many of you are guests, visitors today? And I gave them attention because they're potential Rotarians. And,
Yeah.
and they don't know it, but they have a very special privilege in a way. They're meeting the district governor. They don't even know what a district governor is. They don't know it's a privilege.
No.
And so before the event, I would have people take me around and meet the guests, and I would say, nice to meet you. And I carried my professional stripe and my networking skills. And I said, my name's Michael Caruso. Nice to meet you. I want to thank you for coming today. What do you do for work? And I didn't tell them about Rotary. I asked questions about them, to make them feel like a celebrity. What do you do for work? What do you like about your job? Well, I bet you're good at it. You should have seen the smiles, Ken. And then when I walked away, sometimes I glanced back over my shoulder. You could always see these people, they were beaming, or they would say to the person next to them, who was that again?
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of governors and even club presidents, they don't pay much attention to the visitors. They're busy doing presidential stuff.
That's a good tip. Yeah. Bear that in mind.
I wish
Very
more
much.
presidents paid attention to visitors, because, you got to get them to come back a second time and then a third time in our part of the Rotary world before you can give them an application.
Yes. And that's my role as district governor, to try and help the club presidents to do that.
You bet. And imagine this, every visitor in that meeting that that club visit that you do is visiting for the first time, the second time, or the third time. One of those 3 numbers. If they're visiting for the first time, your job is to get them to come back again.
Yes.
If they're there on their second visit, your job is to get them interested in an application. And sometimes depending on how good you are at speaking and leaving your notes for a minute to speak extemporaneously, it's called ad lib.
Yeah.
It would work like this. I would say, how many of you are Rotarians? Because I know we have Rotarians from this club and maybe from visiting clubs. How many of you are Rotarians? And you could do this on Zoom. They raise their hands. Have them use this little thumbs up icon. You've seen it.
Yeah, another one you mean.
Yeah, that one. So I say to them, how many of you are Rotarians? Give me your artificial thumb or your real thumb on Zoom.
Yeah.
Great. And how many of you are not Rotarians? Give me a thumbs up. And that would indicate all on the screen or in person who is visiting today. And I'd say, I imagine most of you are visiting for the first time. Is anybody visiting for the second time? I mean, you could get some real data. And then if only one person raised their hand, I would say, I would like to speak with you after the program personally. Do you have a few seconds for me? And they would come up after the program, and I would say, you seem like a great person. Do you understand the concept of giving back and how important it is? Yes. Do you understand how good you're going to feel if you can systemize your give back? They say, I think so. I say, if you decide to join Rotary, I'm going to give you my personal cell phone number. I want you to keep me posted on your decision. And you'd be surprised. They're like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. They're like,
yes, making them feel valued.
Yeah, they feel deputized.
Yeah.
And even if they don't join, I've made a new friend. right?
Yeah.
And you have that ability. You're a nice person. I like your style. You're open and communicative, and I can tell you're a good person. Your challenge will be that juggling thing, both in Zoom meetings and in live interactions. It's hard to remember to do all this stuff.
Yeah, I think that's it. That juggling all these balls at the same time. But if you want to make a success, then you've got to work at it. I've got to make sure that I get that when I start going out to make visits again.
I've published a presentation checklist. My theory is this, Ken, that if you do everything that's on the checklist, you have the perfect presentation. Would you grant me that?
Yes.
But most people don't do everything on the checklist because they don't even have a checklist. So they get done with the presentation and they say, oh, I forgot to mention this. We see this all the time. Or, oh, I wanted to recognize so-and-so who's in the audience. I forgot. Well, it's because they didn't write it down at the top of their talking points, because that list of people is different in every room. If there's a former governor on the call, you want to say hello to them and mention that person by name, right? So this checklist is available. I'll give the link to everybody here. Of course, it's available to you, sir. It's my website, www.michaelangelocaruso.com. MICHAEL, yep, ANGELOCARUSO.com / presentation - checklist, one word, no capital letters in presentation - checklist. And then you'll automatically be sent the checklist, and it's yours forever. You can use it to your heart's content. But that's how
I look at that.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I deliver more perfect presentations, is by using that stupid checklist. And every time I'm in a hurry and I decide not to use it, I forget something.
Yeah, that's always my worry, that if I don't have notes down, that I will forget something that I was going to say and didn't. So I shall certainly look at that.
You have what do you call them over there? Assistant governors?
Yes.
And have you deputized them? Do you have meetings with them? Do you have a schedule with them of some sort?
I have had a meeting, yes, we do. I've had a couple with them, and I will have another one sort of early September.
Okay.
We have 6 of them.
Okay, good. And any challenges, anything I can help you with? Because that's kind of like your posse, right? Those are your emissaries, and the better job they do, the better results you'll have by the end of the year. And everybody has we'd like to think everybody in the team is going to be strong, but a lot of times we have a champion, and we have some laggards, and we have sometimes people take the position and they're not really qualified to do a good job. And I don't say this with any malice. Sometimes people over volunteer. Sometimes you inherit people that were on board before you got the position. And I will tell you that around November, first half of the year, because the Rotary year starts on July 1st, I looked at all my AGs and I let one of them go mid-year. And that was never done before in our district. And I let her go because she wasn't doing a good job. And here's how I did it. I hadn't heard from her at all. She was completely out of the loop, no surprise. I called her around the beginning of December and I said, hey, let's say her name was Debbie. I said, hey, Debbie, how's it going? And she knows why I'm calling, right? And I said, how's it going? And so she says, the official answer is, oh, it's going pretty good. I said, really? I said, I haven't heard from you lately. I was wondering about you. I was wondering if everything was going well. And then comes the second version of the truth. I know Rotarians love the truth, but we get different versions of it sometimes.
Yeah.
And then she says she feels a little bit warmer to the conversation. And she says, I've had some trouble at work and I haven't been able to dedicate as much time to Rotary as I wanted to. And I said, oh, I see. I thought something was up. So now we're starting to zero in on, understanding each other. And I said, listen, do you expect that work problem to subside? Or is it going to be, continue for a while? And she says, I'm afraid it's going to continue for a while. I said, boy, that's got to make it hard to have fun in the AG position. She says, yeah, honestly, it hasn't been much fun. It seems more like a task.
Mm.
And I said, I tell you what, Debbie, why don't we let someone who has the time to do it and is able to have more fun with the position serve in that role the second half of the year? Would that be okay with you? And I nod my head, yes. And what do you think Debbie said?
Yes,
She was almost relieved, Ken,
it was a help.
because
Yeah.
she wasn't having any fun by her own admission.
Mm.
She wasn't able to dedicate the time. And perhaps most noteworthy, her clubs were not getting serviced by a competent, qualified,
No.
able-bodied assistant governor.
Yeah, if they're not doing it, it cascades into the clubs and
You bet,
they
because they
reap
say,
the
well,
benefit of it.
yeah, we never see our assistant governor. Nobody's watching us or whatever,
Mm.
you know. And then the quality of service provided by the district just slowly and slowly dumbs down until there's almost no relationship anymore between the clubs and the district. This has happened on occasion.
Yeah, it does.
I had somebody waiting
Mhm.
in the wings, a few people actually, young, aspiring, upwardly mobile Rotarians who were interested in a leadership position, these young past presidents. And I put a new one in the saddle. And by the way, the official statement about Debbie was, thank you so much for all your years of service. You were amazing as assistant governor. We really appreciate you. And we're so glad that yet another Rotarian now will have that great experience of serving as an AG. That was the official statement.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
you don't want to damage anyone by
no, it's
say
not
or what
about
you
him.
do. Yeah,
That's
it's not
right. It's
about that.
not about embarrassing anybody or anything like that. But how else can a governor move the district forward if
Mm.
he or she doesn't make those tough decisions, you know?
Yeah, just got to
I
make sure
didn't,
everybody is together and able to do what they're supposed to be doing, and give them the help and support that that I can.
I can tell you something else that was kind of an interesting byproduct of that public announcement. All of the other assistant governors knew I was watching them.
Yeah. So they're keeping on the ball as well.
I hope so. I think maybe some people thought I was a bad cop. You have that expression in Scotland?
Yes, good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be the bad cop, but you know, it was my responsibility to make sure that the clubs were looked after. And if the assistant governor wasn't doing the job, we had to have the conversation.
Yeah.
And by the way, I had an earlier conversation with Debbie to get the lay of the land. So I wasn't completely surprised by what she said to me in the
No.
first week of December. So she wasn't ambushed. She knew it was coming, and I
Yeah.
knew it was coming. And it just seemed like the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, you've got to make sure that the team is doing what they should be doing, and that they are. You mentioned there about having fun doing it, and that's important as well. Nobody should be doing a job that they don't enjoy or they don't want to do. So yeah, I will follow that up and just make sure that everybody is okay and that they're looking after the clubs in their area.
Good. Let's close with a tip on how to get media attention, because
That'd be
Rotary
useful.
showing up in the newspaper, on the radio, on the telly is all great for the organization. I just love it when Rotary is able to tap into the power and the marketing muscle of the media. So you will have some champions within the district who are media worthy. I think in a lot of communities, the media stops reporting on the local Rotary Club because we're always around and because we're always doing good things, it becomes a bit of a yawn for the media. Oh, isn't that local Rotary Club nice? They're having a little fundraiser and they're raising $1,000 and they've had 50 people come to it. There's a lot of that perception out there. So when you get a Rotary Club that's raising a lot of money, and I don't know what the threshold over there is in pounds, that's up to you to decide, or has it such a big event, the largest event of your district, what is it? Is it an outdoor cookout? What is it?
Probably the one that draws most people are the golf days. the
And golf?
charity golf days.
Yeah, and how many people come to that?
Well, I can't vary. I guess, in fact, the biggest event that we had in the district was, and we've not been able to do it the last 2 years because of the pandemic. Do you know of the Fourth Rail Bridge?
I've heard of it.
Very amazing construction, an abseil down that I think over their time that's been running for about 10 years, it's raised about £1 million.
Oh my gosh, that's huge.
So that was
So
a big event.
that's your chance as governor and your public image coordinator chance to get on the media scoreboard by making sure that you are marketing that at the district level. Don't leave it just to the club. And when you do that at the district level, you're teaching all the other clubs how they can do a similar large event. So the club activity is, my point is, it's not happening in a vacuum. If the town is called, I don't know, Jonesville isn't the only one learning how to perpetuate this magnificent event. All the clubs around it, all the clubs in the district are learning how to do it because you're promoting it at the district level and talking about it. Eventually, you'll be talking about it as governor. We don't need more small events in Rotary. We need to make a mark. We need to make a big splash in the pool. And by the way, it takes just as much energy to put on an event for 50 people as it does for 100.
Yeah.
But sometimes we don't think big enough, I think.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll pick up on that.
You are such a good listener. I know that you're going to be a fantastic governor. I really appreciate you doing this recording with me today.
Well, it's been very helpful, Michael. I really appreciate it. I've taken a load of tips and I shall work on them. I'm looking at the camera just now and I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to follow up, make sure I meet the right people when I go actually physically visiting and make these people feel welcomed and want to be part of the Rotary family. So a great number of tips. I really appreciate the time you've taken to help me along.
I love it. Let's do one more thing that will put some extra energy to our relationship moving forward. Are you active on social media or is it not your thing?
I wasn't, partly because of work, but I'm now into Facebook.
Okay.
And I'm going to open up Twitter as well because I think that's an important communicator. We did a litter pick in our own club on Sunday, and I've taken a picture there and put that on social media. We have a district conference, so we have somebody that is using social media for that. But I've also put a couple of things in as well.
So Twitter is a good place to get media attention, not so much on Facebook. And you do that with the use of hashtags. Somebody can tell you about that.
Yeah.
But I want you to friend me on both platforms and tag me on occasion. Okay. So when you post to Facebook and you tag your friend Michael back in the States, I'll see your post because otherwise I might not see it, right? Okay. If you tag me, I see it for sure. And then I can support you in comments. I call it double stamping. I will double stamp your great initiative or your great comment or your great post. And the second thing that I would suggest is that you join a group that I started on Facebook called Get the Word Out Now. And it's a group for marketing tips, tips to grow your club or grow any club, raise more money for the greatest service organization in the world, and get attention for Rotary. That's what we do in that club. It's got I think over 1,000 members now, somewhere like that.
And that's on Facebook?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Get the word out now. Okay.
Yeah, you'll be with a lot of like-minded people and high flyers, and there's no Rotary Facebook group like it anywhere. Because we talk about marketing campaigns. We discourage actually people posting about what their, who their speaker is at their club meeting. Yeah. Because this is a worldwide group. Most people won't never be able to attend. And there are plenty of other places you can promote your club meeting this week. We want to talk about marketing campaigns, innovative ideas, fresh stuff.
That's for me.
Yeah, and again, that is not a site that's um, sanctioned by Rotary International. These are just helpful Rotarians trying to do the right thing.
That's important. That's part of the family and networking of Rotary. It doesn't all need to come through from RI. If we can help each other, just as you've done for me there, that's what makes it great.
For sure. And to be sure, a lot of the tips, like if you wanted public image tips or wanted to watch a great video on something Rotary related, we just route you back to Evanston anyway. So we're all in this together, as I said earlier, and a rising tide raises all boats.
That's great, Michael. Really appreciate that. And I'll get into it and link up and tag you on both Twitter and Facebook as well, and follow you there.
Thank you. You are great, sir. I hope we get a chance to connect either virtually or in person, maybe as soon as the Houston International Convention in June of next year.
I've registered for it anyway. I've registered for both Taipei and Hawaii, and of course, unfortunately, they didn't happen. But fingers crossed that this one will.
Yes, and congratulations on I understand someone from your part of the world is about ready to steer the Rotary ship.
Gordon McAnally, yes, he's part of the district. So yeah, I'm sure he'll do very well. I'm sure
He'll be great for us.
Good. He'll have a big act to follow from Jennifer Jones, but I'm sure Gordon will do really well. He chaired the Toronto conference. And
back to what we said earlier about having 3 or 4 presidents, that knock it out of the park in a row, right?
Yes.
That's the dream of any leadership that changes any organization that changes its leadership every year. And we've been fortunate to have a lot of great leaders in Rotary. So I'm always grateful when we have somebody steering the ship that knows where we're going.
Well, I shall try and do that in the district as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thanks again for doing this.
That's great, Michael. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye just now. Bye.